Crows are actually one of the luckiest and smartest birds out there. And today, I'm going to show you just how smart crows can be. I believe the first time you heard that crows are smart was probably the story about a crow drinking water. But honestly, it's way more than that. Scientists once ran an experiment. They placed floating food inside a glass tube and prepared wooden blocks, stones, and objects of different sizes and densities. During the very first test, the crow correctly chose high-density objects that were small enough to fit into the tube and dropped them into the water, successfully raising the water level and getting the food. For humans, understanding volume, displacement, and density usually takes until around 5 to 7 years old. We all know some animals can use tools, but crows are the only non-primate animals that can actually make new tools. When pulling insects out of tree holes, they know how to use thin twigs to fish them out. And when the straight twig doesn't work, they'll find a softer branch and shape it into a hook to pull the insect out. So, since crows understand volume, density, and length, and know how to use tools, scientists decided to make the challenge even harder. They placed food deep inside a narrow container and tied a short stick to a string. The short stick could only reach stones inside a nearby cage. In another transparent container, there was a slanted platform. Only after placing all 3 stones inside would the platform tip, revealing a long stick that could reach the food. So would this combo puzzle stop the crow? Once the test began, the crow first noticed the short stick and quickly pulled it up by shortening the string. After realizing it couldn't reach the food directly, it shifted its attention to the stones in the cage. After taking the stones out one by one, it first dropped 2 stones into the container. The platform moved slightly, but didn't fully tip. So the crow added the 3rd stone and successfully got the long stick and finally reached the food. This smooth chain of actions shocked the researchers. It showed that crows have flexible logical thinking and strong problem-solving skills. And the intelligence of crows doesn't stop there. When it comes to using tools, it's not just tools they use themselves, but also tools in their environment. For example, urban crows will drop nuts onto the road and wait for passing cars to crack them open, then come back to eat the inside. They'll even watch traffic lights and only go down to eat when the light turns red. This behavior clearly shows that crows have excellent observation and learning abilities. Smart to this level, it honestly starts to feel a little scary. However, crows are even smarter than we imagine. They can even consider what other crows are thinking. When a crow notices another crow watching it while it hides food, it will act calm and pretend to keep hiding the food. But in reality, after the other crow leaves, it will move the food to a new hiding spot. On top of that, they can remember human faces and even hold grudges. Crows are social animals with the ability to communicate within their groups. If they believe someone is dangerous, they'll warn other crows and spread the message. So, if you ever see 2 crows staring at you and calling to each other, and it feels like they're talking about you, you might actually be right. They really could be sharing information about you. Crows usually live around 20 years, and some can even reach 50. So they can pass their knowledge down to the next generation. This natural advantage combined with learning is what makes crows the smartest birds. Yet despite being this intelligent, they've long been seen as a bad omen. People tend to dislike crows. One reason is their feather color. Jet black feathers, compared to birds like peacocks or parrots, just don't look very appealing. Another reason is their harsh, unpleasant calls, which people often find unsettling. In folklore, hearing a crow's call was believed to signal something bad was coming. This belief came from the fact that, in ancient times, crows often appeared at funerals, but their presence was simply related to their diet. Crows are omnivores. They aren't picky eaters. They eat fruits, insects, rodents, and even carrion. In the past, burials were often simple, and bodies were already decomposing. The smell would naturally attract crows, combined with their loud, harsh calls. Over time, crows came to be seen as birds of bad luck, so much so that If something bad happened after someone spoke, people would call it a crow's curse. And when it's completely silent, people say it's so quiet you could hear a crow. But clearly, their eating habits don't bring bad luck at all. In fact, another trait of crows is believed to bring blessings. Very few animals care for their parents, and crows are one of the best examples of filial behavior in the animal world. When an old crow can no longer find food, its offspring will gather food and feed it mouth to mouth. This act of repaying care continues until the parent can no longer eat at all. That's why people use phrases like, "The lamb kneels to nurse," and "The crow feeds its parents," to describe gratitude and devotion. So crows are actually filial and auspicious birds. It's just that their habit of eating carrion has caused them to be misunderstood for far too long. Alright, that's it for today. See you next time.